Okay, super. So for those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Hannah Gray and I'm the founder of the Office Management Group, which is all about empowering, supporting and connecting office managers around the world. So the group was very much about me bringing my experience in office and facilities management together many years ago. So we've been going for 7 years now. And I first thought of launching this business 5 years prior to that. So a long time in the making, when I was at RBS, and really kind of recognised how bad their systems and things were and how little the people responsible for managing the office managers knew compared to where I'd come from, which was at JP Morgan. So I started doing like informal training sessions, talking about how to run office moves effectively. We had a hot desk system in place there because they were closing so many buildings down. This was not too long after the recession had happened, and obviously RBS were not particularly popular at that time. And so I put all this together, and then I was asked to essentially manage office management at RBS, and I thought, well, there's probably more here I can do for this profession, and it just grew from there. Every business that I worked in thereafter, I was seeing the same kind of thing happening, where people were making mistakes or weren't really sure of what they should be doing, were signing contracts that were really bad and costing the company hundreds of thousands of pounds a year more than they should. So I basically had the brainchild to create a business to support other people like me. Fast forward a few years from that, we created the Office Management Portal, which is our online membership platform, which I think a few of you are part of. If you're not, Google the Office Management Portal and you'll find out more about that there. And we started doing events and things, and I was already doing one-to-one training in my consultancy business, bespoke one-to-one training, which still occurs now. I've got one new client starting tomorrow with me. But I had people on the portal saying, "Han, I know you do one-to-one training, but will you ever do like group training, because it would be more cost effective? I'd love to meet other office managers." Can you all hear me? Because someone just said there's no sound. The person, yes, you can. A couple of you are saying so. Just so that you stay anonymous. Oh yeah, you can hear Claire. I think you're in the chat, so I will just say it might just be worth testing your speakers and make sure that they're turned into the right ones. If everyone else is good. That would have been bad, wouldn't it, if I've started talking for that long and none of you could hear me and didn't say. Okay, so where was I up to? So, yeah, so the portal members basically were the driving force behind why this course was developed, saying that they wanted something that was group-based, they could network and learn together. And we got it accredited as well, so we're accredited by 2 different bodies now, so it has a little bit more gravitas and weight behind it. So yeah, the office management course was first launched. We first did our very first pilot in November 2021 with 3 delegates that we took through the intermediate level, and then did our first advanced early last year. And we're up to about 50 people now that we've taken through the course, and it's growing and growing, and the feedback has actually been exceptional. I didn't expect to have such incredible feedback from something that was so new, and it really is still, from what I can see, the only course around the world that really does hone in and focus on the role of an office manager. So many, when I was looking years ago, because one of my best friends said to me, "I love the sound of your job." She was in learning and development, and she said, "I love the sound of your job, an office manager, it sounds incredible." And I was like, "I do love it. Not it's not for everybody." And anyway, she said, "Are there any courses that I can take to do it or whatever?" So we had a look, and I tweaked her CV, and everything was just really about organisation and prioritisation and how to file effectively. And it kind of went more down the sort of traditional admin secretary assistant route of taking minutes and this kind of stuff, not how do you deal with a leak? How do you manage health and safety when no one wants to know about it? How do you do DSE assessments? Or how do you interact with HR if you're not HR? And how do you onboard joiners and things? So for me, as a very practical person anyway, the course was developed to be a very practical course that taught you, from my experiences and everything I've learned since, how to run your office and support your businesses effectively. So there's a little bit of a backstory for you on how and why these courses came about. And by the way, when I thought of doing them, it was at 2 o'clock in the morning, as the same time as I thought of doing the office management show, which is our exhibition and conference, the awards that we do every year, and this at 2 in the morning whilst I was feeding my baby, who was 3 months old. So didn't half give myself a task to do then in, I think that was November 2019. So yeah, like a challenge, I do. So I will dive in, and as I say, if there are any questions, feel free to use the chat as we go through. So here's essentially some sneak peeks of the slides. In fact, actually, ignore me. What I'm going to do is quickly flip to the brochures first, so that you can see that. Someone else is coming in. Very typically, my dog is next to me tapping for food, so I'm going to try my best to ignore her if you can hear any tip taps there. So this is the office management course brochure, where there's 2 levels, intermediate and advanced. And I'll give you a little guide on which may suit you better depending on the experience and years in that you're at. As I said, both are accredited. All of our courses are accredited by the CPD and the IAM, the Institute of Administrative Management. I'm also accredited as a CPD speaker, so there's kind of double bubble there in sense of when I take the courses. With both the intermediate and advanced level courses, which are very much about general office management, and I'll show you the content and talk through some of that in a tick, there is an HR trainer that comes in. Used to be Mel, but we have recently changed to a guy called Richard, and he will be teaching either in person or virtually, depending on travel and all that kind of stuff, because he's from Birmingham. But he's a really good speaker, teacher, particularly on the topic of HR, which I tend to steer away from as much as I possibly can. So he will take those parts of the course. So just a quick flick through here. It's essentially our kind of mantra as to why we created the course and our objective, and I think so far we can proudly say that we are the gold standard in this training. And most people from the feedback have said that they do feel empowered. They've got new skills and knowledge that they didn't have before, even if it's just a couple of things that they didn't know. It's really changed the landscape of their career and their role. We have had, don't tell your employers this, we have had a few people resign from their jobs off the back of the course, which is not one of our objectives. Being empowered is just because they just wanted something bigger and better off the back of the course, because they were like, wow, there's so much more in some of these other roles that people are doing. My role is really small and it's not going to get much bigger, so I think it's time for me to leave, which is part of the empowerment, I guess. But don't tell your employers that, especially if you're getting them to pay for you. So we say it's for you if you're starting out in your career. You want to make a move into office management. So some people have taken the course because they've never done office management before, and off the back of doing this course they have actually managed to secure office management roles, which is fantastic, and they stay in touch with me. And then to, especially when you're established as an office manager already, to really elevate in your career and support your business more fully. We'll skip that one. I'm very sick of seeing photos and videos of myself now, but yeah, I've trained over 500 people in my career, if not more. So we will go on to the 2 different levels. So intermediate and advanced, what we typically say is 3 years or less in an office management role, or a role where you have had office management responsibilities, that you take the intermediate course, because both of them are quite in depth and quite technical. I think, did we have Charlotte's on? Yeah, Charlotte, you took the intermediate, didn't you? But yeah, so they are quite in depth and quite technical, and the advanced goes even deeper. So if you want to get a good general knowledge, get some skills, or learn about the suitable skills to, the suitable skills, in my opinion, to be an effective office manager, but also a little bit of health and safety, a little bit of HR, a little bit of business continuity planning, a bit of procurement, and all these other things, the intermediate is perfect as an introduction to it. It's not really an introduction, it's higher up than that. We haven't got a foundation level at this time. You can either attend all of these courses in person, online, live, or at some point, keep promising this, we will be launching the e-learning. I've recorded 2 out of 4 days on intermediate, so it is coming. It just takes a long time because you have to record all the content. We'll change it initially for e-learning, record, and then watch yourself back, hence why I say I'm sick of kind of seeing myself. on all those hours that you've recorded, and then get your editor to edit it and then watch it again. So it takes quite a while to record it, I've realised, but it is coming, I promise. So in terms of the intermediate course outline, we've got that introduction to office management, and I will show you some of these slides in a little while, all about offices and the different types of offices, pros and cons. So that's talking about serviced offices and co-working spaces versus leased spaces, or managed or owned buildings, facilities and maintenance requirements, health and safety, proactively managing joiners and leavers, and intro to HR. So in that we cover how to interview as if you're hiring, so kind of gearing you up to be a line manager, project management, culture and wellbeing, which obviously are really key now, event management, which we don't cover event management at all in the advanced. So if you are looking for that, the intermediate might be the one for you. Procurement processes, an accounting overview, and BCP, business continuity planning, and top tips to nail your role. And then in the advanced, so 3+ years in office management, or perhaps if you have been in and around assistant roles and offices for a long time, you might wish to go straight to advanced if you've taken on an office management role and feel quite comfortable and confident in what you know already from that background. So this one, I should have said, sorry, the intermediate is 4 days long, over 4 weeks. We just do 1 day a week, because your bosses would kill me if I took you out of the offices for 4 days in a row. It just wouldn't work, and we'd be all stressed and on our phones constantly. So we do 1 day a week for 4 weeks, and the advanced is 1 day a week for 6 weeks, usually taught on a Wednesday or Thursday, because then it's sort of middle of the week and hopefully less disruption for you. So again, all of those available in person, virtually, or via e-learning at some point. And then the advanced course just goes into a little bit of info that we shared in the intermediate level. So either people who have done the intermediate and the advanced, and we've had a few people do that now. We recap some of the learning from the intermediate one as just kind of an outset to give the framework to the whole course. And then maintenance and facilities management, quite deep into that one. A deep dive into health and safety, which is pretty much a whole day on that topic, which actually I'm very proud of, because can you guys do reactions? Yeah, I think you can, can't you? Because I saw someone put their thumb up. So put your hand up or thumb up or whatever reaction if you like health and safety at the moment. There's a couple, good, 2 from what I can see. But Charlotte, I'm hoping that's because you've done the course as well. So a couple of reactions there, another one coming through there. Every person, and it surprises me, that takes the course says they really enjoyed, and it was their favourite module, the health and safety module. Would you expect that from a course that's got all this content in, that everybody comes up saying they really enjoyed the health and safety module? So there's something about that which makes it interesting and hopefully useful to take away as well. But a little fun fact for you, that everybody seems to enjoy health and safety. Effective project management. So we look at some typical project management methods, but also then applying them to an office move project and a fit out project as well, assuming you will probably do one of those at some point. A whole day spent on HR and employment law. That is being tweaked slightly at the moment, so it's going to start looking a lot more at things like the integration of AI and how that may impact and sort of policies and things you might need to put in place. Menopause policies and mental health and stress, and that side of it is becoming more relevant than some of the bits that we previously had in there. So we're going to focus a lot more on that. Flexible and hybrid working as well in that. Yeah, culture, managing stress, well-being. So we look at the stress management standards. I should have said, actually, in the advanced we cover leadership quite a lot, so you'll see some slides there which assumes that you are, or at some point you may well be, managing people, but it's also about managing upwards and having that leadership mentality to help your business. Audit and ISOs, so sustainability is part of that as well. And perfecting procurement, quite a deep dive on that. So we look at how to construct or how to read, sorry, a contract and construct termination letters and things, asset tracking, budgets, and then final tips in that one as well. So yeah, as I said, outcomes: 1, empowerment; 2, confidence; and 3, knowledge. So I will leave it there. There's some testimonies. I think if you've all registered your interest in the course, you'll have a copy of this one anyway. In one of the email chains, because you'll have gone into what we call like a sales funnel. So if you downloaded the brochure, you'll get a few emails. I think it's 3 or 4 from us over the next however many weeks post downloading the putting your information into that form, and you'll get a couple of emails. So one of them will at some point contain this one as well for those that haven't yet seen it, which is just a little bit more detail excuse me, on what's covered in each of the courses. So if you want to get a little bit more granular and understand it a bit more, especially if you're on the fence as to which to do, then this may help you decide, because there's a bit more about the content in there, and that is roughly the order as well in which we teach it in. Sometimes we have to tweak it a little bit. And again, for the advanced course there, so it just gives you a bit more info. If you are ever struggling, and please do feel free to use the chat and ask any questions at any time, but if you are struggling with which level to do, I will always, if you say, for example, decide to go straight to advanced, and we can have a conversation, you can arrange time with me or my team to have a chat. If you go straight to advanced, but you kind of want a little bit of a glimpse of intermediate, I have sent the intermediate slides to advanced delegates in the past, that prior to the advanced course, they can go through the slides in their own time, at their own leisure, and have a feel for the intermediate content before they then start the course. So very happy to do that. Obviously, it will be a do not copy, do not share disclaimer with the slides, because we don't want anyone else getting hold of them. But we're very happy to do that if that helps you to take the advanced, but give you a little bit of confidence without having done the intermediate. A question that I get asked quite a lot is, what time frame should we leave between doing the intermediate, sorry, and doing the advanced? It's completely up to you. Someone at the end of my intermediate course, I think maybe it was this year, or the one I taught most recently, or maybe the one before, but had asked me basically 2 days after the course, how soon can I do the advanced? As soon as you like. But generally, I'd recommend maybe a year, because you will have things to do, I'm sorry, off the back of the courses, in the sense of, if you haven't got all your health and safety in place, then you're probably going to come away with a to-do list to create certain policies or risk assessments or whatever, or, you know, putting better processes in place potentially for procurement or getting joiners on board. You might think they're, you know, just as far as you can take them, or you might get ideas and inspiration to take them even further. So you probably will come away with things to do. So when you are taking the course, make sure you bear that in mind and carve out time. Like I've said to people, treat it as a bit of a project afterwards, and prioritize the things that you want to work on because they excite you or you enjoy them, versus the things that will add the most value and benefit to you and your business as a result. Is that all okay so far? Okay, so recently you may have seen that we launched health and safety, lost all my words now, specific courses as well. So again, everything I do essentially has come from demand from clients or members or delegates over time. So we had people taking the advanced course earlier this year that said, will you ever do a DSE course, like just solely on being a DSE assessor, because we do teach some of that in both levels. Will you ever do like a, you know, full on more in-depth health and safety course? But then we've also had people who've looked at the office management course and said, oh, I really just wanted the health and safety element. So all inspired by you guys, we created these health and safety courses. So there's 2 here, a general health and safety at work course. I think we've called it health and safety for office managers, or office management health and safety, and then the DSE assessor course. So similar things there in terms of the objectives, to understand and grow in confidence around health and safety. And then again, you can do these live, in person or online. Live, we haven't got the e-learning promises yet on these, but we probably will do it at some point. So again, health and safety is 2 days over 2 consecutive weeks, covering all sorts of things in there about conducting risk assessments, effectively managing and maintaining health and safety and wellbeing procedures and policies, and those DSE assessments as well. And it's those fees at the bottom there. It's slightly cheaper if you're doing it online, because obviously we don't have to feed you lunch or anything. And then there's the outline in there. So yeah, all sorts of content that we cover in there. A lot of people don't know about these ones, so it's quite an interesting one to cover, where you've got COSH, control of substances hazardous to health, travel, which includes driving for work. A lot of people don't think about that. Legionnaires, which I think is actually spelled incorrectly, so I'm going to get my team to change that. And the water systems and the management of that a lot of people aren't aware of. And then the DSE Assessor course, which is a 1-day course, which will make you essentially a qualified DSE assessor, so you can go and do those assessments yourself. For me, everything in my business ever since I launched it has always been about the return on investment for you or your business as the client. I always try and encourage, which isn't potentially sensible because I do DSE assessments for clients, but to encourage you to learn and train and do all these things yourself if you can. And then you've always got people like me externally if you need extra help or haven't got time to do it for a little while. So yeah, the DSE one is there. Okay, so let's go back to my PowerPoint slides for the moment. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you a few of the slides from the first day or two. Sort of there's an amalgamation here of both courses. So this is neither advanced nor intermediate. It's a little bit of a mix of both. But yeah, we go through an intro to the course, tell you a little bit about me, and then we usually teach it in or around Monument or Moorgate. So I thought I'd leave that up there just in case anyone had a question about the venue. We very kindly get given some office spaces from a couple of people that I know. That's our objective, the gold leading standard again, to empower and equip you with the skills and confidence and knowledge to run your office rather with confidence and ease. You can tell I've had the summer off, haven't you? Can't you? Because I'm not quite into come next week when I teach the next advanced one, I'll be back in the game. Learning outcomes, again, similar here, equip you with the necessary skills and confidence, no matter what is thrown at you, because so many things get thrown at us. And then this is the agenda. So this is the advanced one that I've grabbed here. So you can see, I think I might have intermediate on the next slide. But yeah, so day one, we go into what office management is, key skills, etc. That deep dive on health and safety management the next day, maintenance and FM, effective project management, the HR piece on day 4 or day 5, sometimes we flick, BCP and audits, ISO sustainability, and then that procurement piece, managing budgets, and the wrap up. Every course that we do, except for the health and safety and the DSE ones, so the intermediate or advanced level, if you're there in person, we do have the obligatory celebratory drinks and hotel tour if we're at a hotel afterwards, which is all included in the budget. So you can come and have a drink and continue to network with your delegates. Here we do have the intermediate one as well. So yeah, just a couple of days shorter because we don't go into quite as much detail on the intermediate ones there. So every time, I left this slide in on purpose, every time we do the course every day, we have in all of the courses, the DSE and the health and safety ones as well, we have icebreakers, which obviously is quite typical for courses. So you'll be asked to do different things. Maybe like the first one in both levels is tell us a word that for you represents office management. We often get firefighter, reactive, mum, dad, etc. come up, which is always quite fun. One of the other icebreakers we do, I've actually got some post-its right here, is the game where who am I? If anyone's ever played that. So you put a famous person on there and we stick it to our heads, so we have to kind of move it because some people have too much hair in the way. So we play some things like that, which really does break the ice and does get you guys getting to know each other better. We also create a Slack group specifically for you. So if you join, like we've got one starting next week on the 14th, so there's 6 people taking that course. I'll create a Slack group that day and then they can continue to connect, ask questions, share updates, etc. I haven't sadly been able to go to all of them, but a lot of the course delegates that have taken the courses to date have met up since and done like reunions, as it were, and drinks and things, and made, you know, I think lifelong professional friendships from it, which is really nice to see. They often send me pictures together saying, oh, we've met up today or whatever, and it's really nice to see that that's come through from the course. And you obviously learn from each other as well as from me, and I'll probably learn from you still, because I'm always learning as well. What else was I going to sound icebreaker? I think that's everything. Top tips. So this top skills, sorry, this is one of the slides that we share about my 4 top skills to fly. Of course, I think there's many other skills that are needed to be an effective office manager, but we delve quite a lot into those here. Emotional intelligence, we talk about that one in, I believe, the advanced course. We look at the areas of responsibility from 2017 when we first did surveys and research on the role. to then now, and the responsibilities and how they've grown in these roles, and the fact that I couldn't fit it on one slide, so I had to make a little GIF. And then we obviously talk about throughout the course a lot of these responsibilities and all the different scenarios that may come up along the way and how to tackle them or get ahead of them. The key areas of the role. So for me, this kind of transitions through the whole course, where the box is like this outline of where you work, essentially your office space or your offices if you manage multiple offices, and all the things that you need to do. So you think like life safety systems, I don't know, window cleaning and all that kind of stuff, all the things that you need to do to keep that space safe and well maintained. And then the people within it, which is where a lot of health and safety things come into place, policies, training and so on, HR if you have elements of that, but also the visitors and contractors that we need to manage there, and all the things we should be doing around that. And then the suppliers and service providers. So as we start to go into the procurement side of the course, we look at those a lot more and how to build effective relationships with them and manage all of that really well too. Couple of more slides here just to show you. There's loads of slides. There's about 110 or so in each day, and you can get a copy of them afterwards as well if everybody would like to. But yeah, we also, for anyone that's online or wants it, we record the courses with everybody's consent, so it will only ever get shared between the delegates, but you can watch it back in the aftermath. Sometimes people have to duck out for meetings and things, so we will do that at request as well. But yeah, we talk about typical office structures because I realise not many people have actually seen their office below the ceiling, above the ceiling, sorry, and below the floor. And I do quite literally take carpet tiles up in these offices that we're in, so you can have a look as well. Raised access floors and voids. There's all sorts of things in here that we look at. This is just from one of the days. Being an effective leader in the advanced course. We talk about what it takes to be an effective leader. What's the difference between a leader and a manager? What makes a good manager? What makes a good leader? And the different skills that you can have as managers, and the value that you can bring if you are an effective manager, and different management styles, which is like visionary, like Elon Musk here. I forget her name now. She's the CEO of Girls Inc. If she's still doing it, but she is a democratic manager, so majority rules. Transformational, so HubSpot, the founders of there, so everything's kind of forever moving and keeping up, constant training, knowledge sharing, etc. And then coaching, so Netflix marketing manager, I believe, and I've forgotten her name as well, but yeah, she's the CMO of Netflix, or was certainly at the time we caught this, and she has a coaching style. So we look at those and which one might suit you more. And then at the end of each day, because we do share an awful lot of content, we do a wrap up. So we will cover a kind of recap on everything that's covered, because there will then be, and it looks a little bit like this, for example, for day one, there will then be a test. I think it's on the next set of slides because I've gone into the next few examples here, but I'll show you the test in a little while. So health and safety. And we talk about reasonably practicable and what that means, the risk assessment process, how to manage and get started on doing a risk assessment, and then two different versions. One is simple for the intermediate, or more simple, and one is a little bit more comprehensive for the advanced. So you get workbook exercises to do there, and we talk through all the different bits in a typical risk assessment and how you can get one started. And then this is the exercise from the intermediate level. Every day, I mean, throughout the course, again, for anyone that's taken it, they'll know that I check in regularly, kind of like I have on this call, and say if that makes sense, is that all okay, ask any questions, etc. So sometimes people will raise their hand, sometimes people just wait till I've finished a slide and then ask. Sometimes people take pictures of the slides and make notes on their iPads or clever tablets, whatever they might have. You know, very, very flexible in how it works for you. We do have obviously mobiles off and on, or on silent rules and things to make it as enjoyable for everybody else, so they can all take in the content. But yeah, we have a section at the end for Q&A, and then we have the module test. So it's out of 10 each day at the end of each module. So there's 4 modules, 4 days in the intermediate and 6 in the advanced, and you need to get I think it's 70%, yeah, 70% in both to win. So if you got 7 out of 10, essentially, if my maths is right, you'll pass the course, and nobody has failed yet, put it that way, and no one ever will fail. And there's a sneak peek. You can see a little bit of the intermediate day 1 level 1 course there. Yeah, so 7 out of 10 pass rate, 70% across the whole course. So they are the slides as a preview. Are there any questions or anything off the back of that, or did anyone want to see a little bit more? Hopefully that's all good. You can do thumbs up if that's good, or thumbs down if it's not. Hopefully we don't get thumbs down. And then I've got a thumbs up. Good, I'll take it. So with every, and I've got them all here actually printed. You might not be able to see it with my blurred background, but we give you these workbooks. So you get 2 in the intermediate one because it's basically 2 days covers one workbook, or 2 days are covered in one workbook. And the advanced, you get 3 workbooks in total. My best friend, when she saw these, said these are the sexiest workbooks I've ever seen in my life. Oh, entered a question. Where's the Q&A? Not come up with anything. Just hold on a second. I'll have a look. There we go. Awesome. Okay, I've seen it now. So I'll come to that in a second. Thank you for flagging. Yeah, so these workbooks are really cool. So I'll show you the advanced one on the screen now. You also get goodies. And when you start the course, I won't tell you just what, but no one ever treats us, the office managers. So I make sure we treat you at this time. But yes, so we have a copy of the objectives and a welcome to the course from me. And then we start looking at you essentially at this point. So there's all sorts of workbook exercises you can do, which we indicate. There's a copy of the agenda there. Some people like to tick it off as we go, which is why I've got the little boxes there. Just zoom out a bit more on that. And then some copies of some things from the slides there with a little exercise to do. Stakeholder management, we look at all of these things, PESTLE, and a copy there. Skills, listening styles, we do quite a lot of exercise on a few exercises, I should say, on listening skills. Coping strategies, there's a copy of the responsibilities there. Strategic partnership comes in quite heavily. SMART objectives, and then a task there. Management styles. So there's all sorts. This is just day 1 of the advanced, and then at the end of each workbook, if you want to, you can do reflections to figure out what you found the most useful, what you might take away. And then again, because we had a few people that were members of the office management portal asking about the templates, because we talk about the templates in the portal quite a lot. It comes up a lot because I will show you some templates that I use or have used in my career, and then people will say, and then have you got those templates on the portal? So you'll hear it, like I just say, there should be a parrot on my shoulder going, there's a template for that. But basically, we started to put, at the request of one of the delegates, the templates at the back of your workbook, so you can see which ones we've referred to within that day for the course, and a glossary, because we all know there's a load of acronyms in these roles. And then day 2, so this really is about health and safety in the advanced course. So there's a risk assessment exercise to do there. DSE assessments and a DSE assessment form to do, because we'll get you to do that on each other. What else do we have? Recommended equipment, and then the reflections bit there. And again, loads of useful templates where health and safety is concerned, and lots of acronyms. And then at the end, we give you, if you want to use it, you'll get a notepad and pen and things as well. But if you want to use it, you can put a things to do list down here so that you can start taking things away from the course, because we do know it does generate some things to do. And then you get extra discounts, so you can get money off the portal, money off these accredited institutes if you wish as well. So that is apparently the sexiest workbook in the world. What else can I say? I think that's it from me. So I'll come to you because there's a couple of questions. So I manage a lady in Poland. I'm going to look at the intermediate course for her, just worried that the legal. Yeah, so this is the thing. If you are, is anybody else joining from overseas, or is everybody UK based? Aurelia, I think, are you overseas? Yeah, you are, aren't you? Anyone else? Let's see, because I can't quite see you all at the moment. Here we go. Yeah, so we have had, so there's been over 300 people register their interest, and we have got a lot of people in America, Australia, and various places in Europe, South Africa, Brazil, asking when the e-learning is going to be ready. And I will just caveat it, because if you're doing it on the e-learning, it will say it anyway. But if you're joining live in person, we will talk about this. It is obviously in the health and safety and the HR elements of the course, which are really the only 2, very geared towards the UK law. However, Some of the health and safety stuff is very generic, like the DSE assessments, even though it might be called something else, like I think in a lot of countries they call them ergonomic assessments or ergonomic risk assessments, or visual display assessments. I've seen it referred to in some laws as well. They're very, very similar in terms of the training. The training is similar because it's all based on ergonomics and our human factors, our bodies, but the legal requirements may vary a little bit. So there is just that little kind of asterisk saying this is UK law. It's important to have a look at what your specific jurisdiction and your law is out there, wherever you may be. Similarly with HR, but then in both there are things that you'll definitely be able to take away from them still. So HR, for example, when we're talking about culture and mental health and menopause, that's not specific to the UK in that, yes, okay, if the UK bring in a menopause policy, that bit will be specific, but the advice we give around it, you can apply anywhere. So you can still take the nuggets of information and go, okay, do I need to do this here? And do I want to do it here? Because it may make people safer. It may make sense in my organisation to implement this or share this and disseminate the information or whatever it might be. So I still think a large degree of the information we share will be useful regardless of where you are in the world. Does that help? Okay. Are there any other, or let me just open up the chat again. Yeah, so if you have to miss a day and watch the recording, yeah, so what we do with the test is I'll send it to you. I'll send you the slides essentially without the answers on, and then either the morning of the next course that you're live online with, or in the interim, you need to send the answers and then we'll go through them when we next can and give your marks then. It's pretty relaxed, to be honest. It has to be marked to make sure you've understood the content and taken it in order for me to get the accreditations. But everybody fears the course at the test, sorry. So it comes to the sort of test point, and or like I do the wrap up and you can see everybody kind of sweating a bit and getting tense, and I'm like, are you worried about the test? And yes, is what I normally get in the room. We don't like tests. And listen, I haven't done a test for a very long time, so I'm with you, but they're not too tricky. There's a couple of questions in there that are going to be a little bit trickier. Some of them I think are very, very straightforward or easier to answer, but I will never let anybody fail the course, put it that way. This is being recorded, so I have to be careful that I am and CPD don't ever watch it, but no one will ever fail. So yeah, you can do that in the aftermath. We normally see, so at the moment we're seeing 5 to 6 people. It's still quite new. We're still sort of pushing out the marketing and things for it. Initially it was like 3 or 4, and now we're seeing an average of 5 or 6, and hopefully that will continue to grow, and hopefully you guys will help us grow that if you book on. The maximum we will ever have is 10, because to me 10 is, especially when we do, you know, like the icebreakers, or there's a lot of bits within the course, especially if you're doing it live online or in person rather than the e-learning, where I'll say, you know, let me think of something. Tell me what sort of things you procure. What do you procure in your offices? What are you buying? And that is a long answer, because you've got plants, stationery, water, coffee machines, printers, paper, pens, you know, that's some stationery, plants and flowers, and IT equipment and servers and data centers and travel, and you know, there's a whole raft of things. So if we've got 10 people in a room, it will take quite a while sometimes to go through those sort of group call out exercises and hear from everybody. And for me as a trainer, it's really important to make sure that everybody has a voice in these sessions and everybody's getting what they want from it. We also ask at the start, before you do the course, what your learning styles are. So you'll get a delegate survey come through when you book, and it asks about dietary requirements and things as well, especially if you're doing in person. But it will ask what your learning styles are and what you're currently responsible for, what you want to get from the course. We really try and understand, and we use some of that information, or most of it, to try and deliver that for you. So yes, you will see that there will never be more than 10 people in the course, because I want everybody to get the most from it. I think with more than that, it just won't have that impact. Yes, I can send all the courses available with the costings, no problem at all. Is that all 4, Charlotte, the health and safety ones as well, I assume? So yeah, I will send that over. Coming from being a manager of a flexible workspace, co-working 17 private offices, should I be looking at advanced courses or intermediate? I have 3 years experience, but I've not worked as an office manager per se, but I've worked in all areas mentioned in the advanced. I would say advanced. I mean, so I might ask you some questions here if you're ready to type. So if you've worked in a flexible workspace, you were probably, I'm guessing, maybe on the sales side and like what we used to call, I worked for Worklife for a while as their facilities manager early on in starting this business. So sales and centre manager. So maybe you dealt with the facilities management side. Yeah, exactly. So I would say you've got a really good level of experience then with 3 years in that to go straight into advanced. Yeah, 100%. I would jump straight to advanced. And again, as I said, Savannah, if you wanted to, I can send you the intermediate slides initially so that you can have a read through of those. I mean, it's 400, 500 slides, but you can flick through and then we recap some of the stuff, especially the kind of foundational bits around the role of an office manager and the skills in the advanced anyway. So hopefully that answers your question there. I'm so hot now. The sun is beaming in here. Are there any other questions at all from anybody? Does anybody need any more information? What I will do as well, if you bear with me, need to see if I can grab it quickly. I will share my calendar link. So if anybody wants to book, where am I? I need to go to my website. So if anybody wants to book a one-to-one call with me for 10, 15 minutes to chat through a little bit more, what might be more suitable to you, like Savannah has, you know, understand, you'll have the intermediate slides once you book, by the way, just to clarify, I won't send you the slides now unless you book. But yeah, you can have those absolutely. If you book onto the advanced, we'll send them to you. So here we go. If I put this in the chat, so if anybody ever about the course or anything else just wants to have a little bit of time with me, you can pop that in there and see my diary and grab a little bit more time. So if you've got any other questions, you can email, Slack. If you're on the portal, you can join the Slack channel there and ask any other questions or email my team and they'll be able to help as well. Is that all okay for everybody? Stop sharing my screen. All good. Has that helped get a little bit more insight into the course? To be honest, like, I mean, I am biased, but it is just a really fun course to do. And I'm more than happy to put you in touch with, if anybody wants to, any of the other delegates in the past. In fact, would anyone want to see the testimonials? Because we record them all in one sheet, so I can bring that up on the screen if you want. Absolutely sweating now. Need to go and jump in a swimming pool. I will just bring up these testimonials so you can have a little read if you want to. And again, I'm more than happy to send this document round. Actually, while you're reading that, a couple of other things I should have said are, you can tell this is the first time I've done this, are one, if you want to pay by instalments, we will allow you to do that for up to 12 months. So if you're paying personally or if your company are paying and they want to spread the payments, we will allow you to do that for up to 12 months. You must make at least one payment before the course starts, though, as a little bit of a deposit. So it has to be received by us before you start your course. Two, on the topic of your team, your managers or your company paying, we do have a letter. I think it's on, or an email, I think it's on the website, but if anybody wants it, again, please email me or the team and they can send it to you. So it's an email you can send to say, I can't think what we call it now, but essentially why you should pay for me to go on this course. So we can send that to you to just give you a little bit of help in asking for approval or something, I think it is, to go on the course. Let me move that out a bit so you can see some others. Yeah, so we can put that in. My advice to you is really try and push and get your company to pay. If they're refusing, maybe ask if they'll meet you halfway, somewhere in the middle, because yeah, to me, this will benefit them and you so much in supporting their business effectively. And yeah, the content shared is pretty good. So you'll learn a lot hopefully from it. I say I'm biased, but but you can see the testimonials here. They speak the truth. So yeah, there's a few. I'm happy to send that to anybody as well if they wish. Is that all good? Are there any other questions or anything else anybody would like to see from the course? I think I've kind of shown most of the key things that I can. As I say, the workbooks are here and there's all sorts of exercises in there and references and things. So all good. I can see someone's typing, so I'll pause. But yeah, feel free to connect with me in whatever way suits you if you do have any other questions or want additional information sent to you or any follow-ups. The link, actually, if anybody does want to book, I will share that, is if you're going manually onto the website, you go to the course page, and then it's just to scroll down from here somewhere where you can view dates and book your space, but I'll pop this in the chat as well. You hopefully have all got the link anyway from the email funnel and things in there. But that's the link to look at all the current dates and then to book if you wish to go ahead, which hopefully you will, and I will see you at some point in the future. The next advance at the moment is next year, I think January. We've pushed it unless you get approval and you want to join. We've still got 4 spaces left for next week's one if anybody does want to join virtually or in person. And then the intermediate one, I think, starts mid-October. Oh, and then the health and safety ones, I forget about those. We've got some end of October, and the DSE Assessor one is the 8th of November. So I'm very armsy. If you do any training with me, you'll realise that I'm very armography based, so pointing at things because I've got a calendar here, so it helps me remember. Okay, is that all right for everybody? Thumbs up. Good. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully you can all go and jump in swimming pools for those that are. I think it's going to be, I'm in London tomorrow, and I think I looked and it's going to be 31 degrees up there. So yeah, that's going to be joyous, isn't it? Cool. Okay, I can see someone else is typing. Yeah, feel free to leave when you want to. Obviously, this is recorded and hopefully you've got all the material you need. So I will speak to you soon. Thank you very much for joining.